Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? Alright, man, so I'm looking at boxing scene right now, and I see this article they got up here. Let me see. Joshua says, Fury's stock didn't rise from Klitschko win. It was boring. Okay? Let me just read what Anthony Joshua had to say. Now, I'm going to leave this article in the description box for you, man. But this was an interview he did with Sky Sports. And then Boxing Scene posted his quotes. Alright, so he says, he didn't throw a punch against Vladimir Klitschko. He didn't come to fight. He just walked around the ring for like 12 rounds. It's boring. It's not winning. It's how you win. His stock didn't rise. Your stock has to rise and could have had the better win. When people look at it many years after, ask them whose fight they'll remember. Joshua told Sky Sports. And, pretty much saying whose fight you're going to remember. Joshua's fight against Klitschko or Fury's fight against Klitschko. And to some degree, he is correct. It is how you win, all right? But I disagree with Anthony Joshua, and another thing I agree with, for the most part, people will remember his fight over Fury. Most people might, all right? Most people might, but not everybody. What I disagree about him with is, you guys know that I'm not a big fan of it was boring. And fighters, fans, a lot of people they say that shit when dudes win. Speaking of Vladimir Klitschko, a lot of his fights, it was boring. Floyd Mayweather, it was boring. Anybody that kind of has that style where they're not going out there trying to knock you out in the first couple rounds, it was boring. And the fight was lackluster. The Fury Klitschko fight was lackluster as far as action. There wasn't that many, wasn't a lot of action in the fight. But Fury went in there and did what he had to do to win. He kept an undefeated record, and his stock did rise. How can his stock not rise, Anthony Joshua? Like, it did rise. What made his stock go down is what happened after the fight. He didn't defend his title. He started going on different binges, eating binges and drug binges, according to reports, allegedly, right? Well, the eating, I can just see visually his body. But as far as his extracurricular things that he was doing, partying and not training and taking it, just didn't care anymore. He reached the mountaintop, reached the pinnacle, and then he that didn't make his stock rise. That actually dropped. His stock dropped after that. But after that win, it did rise, man. Everybody was talking about it. It opened up the heavyweight division. A lot of things were going on. It became more intriguing. More fans were getting in tuned. When he came over to the U.S. and he watched the Wilder versus Spilka that night, and Martin had fought Glasscoff when he won his IBF strap. That night he came to the fights. He approached Wilder in the ring. His stock was sky high. It was probably the highest it had ever been in his career. You know what I mean? But so I disagree with that his stock didn't rise. No, it rose high. Now, we know in boxing scene they can take little quotes of an interview, so I'm not sure what he said in full, what else he had to say about it, but just this part right here, I don't agree with his stock didn't rise. It did rise. Now, the Joshua versus Klitschko fight was much more exciting. Joshua hit the canvas, Klitschko hit the canvas, it was much more exciting. But Fury, to his point, he could argue the fact that, hey, man, I didn't have to hit the canvas when I fought Klitschko. I just, as you said, walked around the ring and beat him easy. You know what I'm saying? So it can go both ways here. Yeah, yours was more exciting, but Fury, he didn't get hurt at all. He didn't get buzzed, didn't get tired, didn't get winded. All the things that you had to go through and endure, he didn't have to do none of that. And he was in the ring with the same guy who was 2 years fresher, 2 years younger. You know what I mean? So I agree with some of it, what Josh was saying, but it's, as far as him saying his stock didn't rise because of how it looked and the way it's going to be remembered. It's going to be remembered as lackluster, but at the same time, he beat him easy. He walked around the ring and beat him easy. And even Klitschko said, I heard him say that, man, this wasn't even really a fight. Yeah, he conned you. He conned his way to victory that night, man. He he was very economical with his punches. He moved. He, was sticking his tongue out. Did he stick his tongue out that fight? I know he was talking and doing things. I haven't watched the fight in a while, but he pretty much conned his way to a victory, man. He came in shape. You know what I mean? When he was able to out jab and maneuver and, clinch Klitschko on the inside and overpower him at times, he did what he had to do that night, man. But like I said, as far as what Fury, I'm sorry, has done after the fight has really left a bad, sour taste in a lot of our mouths, man, as far as fans. And it's just, we didn't want to see this, you know what I mean? Him just being non-existent now. But, yeah, man, it's a new era. Klitschko retired yesterday, so maybe Fury can get his mind right, man, and possibly come back one of these days, whenever that is. But I'm not going to sit and wait for him, you know what I mean? But I will say that his stock did rise, though, man. It wasn't like he won the fight and people were like, oh, he's, they didn't want to see him fight anymore. Some people are like, it was kind of lackluster, but still, he was able to do something that hadn't been done in a very long time. And he was an underdog going into the fight as far as the betting odds. I believe Klitschko was a 5-1. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I know he was a betting underdog going into the fight with Klitschko. And you can't take that away from him. We can say a lot of things about him, man, but I'm not one of these dudes that's going to get into the boring thing. If it was so boring, Klitschko should have whooped his boring ass. He couldn't. He got dominated that night. All right, it is what it is. You guys let me know what you think. I'm out.